Hello and welcome and good evening, everybody, wherever you're joining us around the region, whether you're in ASEAN. I've seen lots of people already joining from Indonesia, Myanmar, Malaysia, the Philippines, Thailand, and as well as Vietnam, where I am, as well as hopefully welcome to all our colleagues joining us in China and indeed people from around the globe as well. My name is Davide Annunziato Guarini Gilmartin. I'm the Senior Academic Manager for English and School Education in both Indonesia and Vietnam. And it's great to welcome you here to our Teaching English online conference for ASEAN and China. Today is our second day, and already I can see in the chat a number of people who have joined yesterday's event or the early event today. So welcome back to you. And if it's your first time joining our conference, well, a huge welcome. You can see on the screen the title of today's session, Using Generative AI for Language Teacher Professional Development, with some evolving practices in the Southeast Asian region. And before I introduce our main speaker, just a few housekeeping notes for you. You'll see in the chat, again, already I can see many of you using the chat to add comments and welcomes. Please feel free to use that. If you have any specific questions about the content or that you'd particularly like us to address to the speaker, please put that in the Q&A box, and you'll notice that both your microphones and your cameras are disabled. Now, certificates, people always ask about certificates. So hopefully by saying this, we won't get questions asking during the chat or in the Q&A box, how do I get a certificate? So an editable PDF certificate is available for all participants in ASEAN, in China, and around the globe. So at the end, I will give you instructions and some links as to how you can access the certificate. And again, you'll get that in a thank you email after the event as well. The final thing I want to say is about this space. We want to make sure that this is a safe place for everyone. So please be polite and respectful when using the chat box. Don't share any personal information or contact details or indeed any links to commercial products, as our moderators will be checking this, my colleagues, and may remove any participants who are disrupting the session. And please note as well that the session will be recorded and it is being live streamed on the Teaching English Asia Facebook page, as well as Teaching English China, WeChat video, and Bilibili in China. And so by attending, you acknowledge that your comments and your names may well be recorded. If you have any issues at all around safeguarding, any concerns, notice the email address at the bottom left of the screen there about safeguarding, and there's an address there for you to contact us on. I hope that's all clear for us in terms of the housekeeping. So now let's move on to meet today's speaker. So I'm really delighted to welcome Dr. Joel C. Meniado. He is a language specialist at it's quite a mouthful this, so bear with me, the Southeast Asian Ministers Education Organization, otherwise known as CEMIO, and he works at the Regional English Language Center in Singapore, so otherwise known as CEMIO RELC, or commonly known as CEMIO RELC. At CEMIO RELC, Joel teaches various postgraduate courses on ELT pedagogy, technology integration, and classroom-based research. And for over 20 years, he's worked as an English language lecturer, educator, and teacher trainer, not only in Southeast Asia, but also in the Arab Gulf regions as well. And he served as a leader of teacher development organizations and initiatives in various countries, and has published very widely as well in areas around English language teaching. So I'm really delighted to welcome and to hand the floor over to Joel. Good evening, Joel, in Singapore from Hanoi. How are you today?
Good evening, David. Let me just share my screen.
Sure, I'll stop sharing and the floor is yours.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, let me just put it in presenter mode.
Yeah, that's great now.
All right, so can you see my screen now?
Yeah, very clear.
All right. So thank you, David. Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning, everyone, wherever you are at the moment. Welcome to my talk on using generative AI for language teacher professional development. In this talk, I will start by discussing the concepts of teacher professional development and generative artificial intelligence supported teacher professional development, or Gen AI supported TPD. After that, I will present the results of the preliminary study I conducted exploring the practices of English language teachers in Asia in leveraging generative AI for their self-directed teacher professional development, or TPD, along with the issues and challenges they encountered with this approach. I will end by offering some insights, practical implications, and future directions in this area of interest. All right, so by the end of this talk, you'll be able to develop an understanding of how generative AI, or Gen AI, can facilitate self-directed language teacher professional development, or LTPD, explore different practices on how Gen AI is used as a collaborator in self-directed language teacher professional development in various contexts, and gain insights on how you can adopt or adapt these practices in your own contexts. Before we move on, may I ask if you have already tried using generative AI like ChatGPT, Copilot, Gemini, or DeepSeek for your independent, informal, and self-directed professional learning and development? If you are in Zoom, kindly type yes or no in the chat box. And if you are viewing on live streaming platforms, kindly enter your response in the comment section. So I'm giving you 1 minute for that.
I'm just seeing I'm seeing hundreds of yeses, Joel. And I saw one
All
that said
right.
yes, yes every day.
Oh, wow. All right. So that's fascinating. All right.
in
So it's good
Zoom
to know
anyway.
that a lot of you here have tried already using Zoom, or I mean, like, tried using Gen AI for your professional informal TPD. Okay, that's great. All right. So thank you very much for your responses. Now let's talk about language teacher professional development. According to Curtis and Maggioli, it is a continual process of intellectual, experiential, and attitudinal growth, leading to an improved quality of teaching and student performance. It also refers to the planned, facilitated, voluntary, or independent learning activities beyond the initial teacher preparation program. It comes in the forms of self-determined independent learning, mentoring, coaching, work-based projects, action research, peer observation, individual reading of relevant articles, personal reflection, study groups, enrollment in postgraduate courses, and participation in formal training, workshops, and conferences like what we are having today. Right. So, which of these types of professional development activities have you engaged in recently? So, can you please type in the chat box or in the comment section, which types of professional development activities have you engaged in recently? All right, I can see the webinar. Okay, it's very common. Oh, very fast. Observation, conference, yeah, peer observation. Right. Graduate studies, mentoring, workshops. So yeah, very rich experience when it comes to teacher professional development initiatives. All right, so you got a lot of experiences in there. Now, one thing that I want you to reflect on, yeah? So now I'd like you to reflect. One of the important questions you need to ask is, why did you engage in these TPD activities? And were they effective and helpful in your current job? Yeah. So did you voluntarily choose to engage in these PD activities because you thought they could help you solve your classroom problems or pedagogical problems, or were just compelled by your supervisors or principals to do so? Did you choose these activities because you saw their value toward your professional growth and development? Okay, so I leave that to you. You can reflect on that maybe after the session. You can answer that after the session. Yeah. All right. So teachers have different reasons for engaging with teacher professional development. Whatever the reasons are, it is important to know that TPD plays a crucial role in language education reform. Equipping language teachers with relevant and up-to-date knowledge and skills in a practical, collaborative, reflective, and ongoing manner can lead to better student learning outcomes and school performance. At the end of the day, we develop ourselves with the aim of improving the performance of our students. We are not only like aiming to develop ourselves professionally, but with the end goal of improving the performance of our students. Yeah. Now, with effective TPD programs, language teachers can confidently address current language education issues. With carefully designed language teacher professional development programs, language teachers can also develop their expertise and growth mindset, ensure high compliance with the language education standards, and nurture a lasting commitment to the English language teaching profession. Studies have shown that TPDs positively correlate with classroom teaching performance and achievement of student learning outcomes. Effective TPDs demonstrate a sequential relationship with enhanced teacher pedagogical content knowledge, improved classroom teaching performance, and higher achievement of student learning outcomes. In the Teaching and Learning International Survey, or TALIS, conducted by OECD, it was found that teacher engagement in TPDs lead to more effective and sustained implementation of classroom practices crucial to student learning. It was also found that high-impact TPDs can result in better quality of teaching and learning by closing the gaps between existing and desired levels of teaching and learning performance. However, to achieve these outcomes, certain TPD characteristics and conditions must be met. Okay, so according to Darling, Hammond, and McLaughlin, TPDs should aim to deepen teachers' understanding of the teaching and learning processes, their contexts, and the learners they serve. They should be impactful, needs-based, context-based, practical, engaging, sustained, collaborative, reflective, and measurable. Any TPD activity should be based on a teacher's identified professional needs, teaching context, and personal circumstances. It must be practicable and capable of addressing specific concerns or issues. It should also be collaborative, involving different available resources and stakeholders of the institution, so that it is more engaging, sustainable, and impactful and transformative. In the study by Kalinowski and others, it was also found that successful TPDs tend to be long-term and intensive, consisting of multiple learning opportunities aimed at mastering and applying the newly learned knowledge and skills. So those are the ideal conditions or characteristics or qualities of TPDs. Now you have to reflect whether those TPDs you have attended have these qualities. Yeah. All right. So what are the common problems or issues you often encounter in engaging with professional development programs and activities? Okay, so again, if you're on Zoom, please type in your responses in the chat box. And if you are on live streaming platform, please enter your responses in the comment section. So the question is, what are the common problems or issues you often encounter in engaging with professional development programs and activities? Right. So I can see the time, schedule, connectivity, time constraint. Okay. A lot of responses about time and cost. All right. Schedule. Right. So yeah, I think mostly about time, limited time, and cost. All right. Lack of motivation. Okay. And relevance. Okay. So I think I got those responses here. Okay. Now, keep on typing in your responses. I think your responses are similar to what I have here. Okay, so according to based on some research, many language teachers remain less engaged with with the TPD due to several constraints. Primary to this is the lack of sufficient time, which you already mentioned there in the chat box. Teachers are usually burdened with many teaching and non-teaching tasks in schools and other family responsibilities at home. So they struggle to find a convenient time to learn and develop professionally. Other constraint is the incompatibility, or you mentioned irrelevance, yeah, of the content of the TPD programs to their context, work context, resulting in the non-application of gained knowledge and skills thereafter. Okay. Other challenges include insufficient financial resources, support from school management, and corresponding incentives or rewards for TPD participation. So I learned from the respondents of the study that they are a bit frustrated in attending TPDs or professional development programs, because when they go back to their institution, they don't have enough time and space to apply, to implement whatever they have learned from the trainings or courses they have attended. So that's a bit frustrating. There's no support from their management, school management. So that's one thing. All right, so while the qualities of successful TPDs are identified, they are not always reflected in many TPD programs. Many TPD activities language teachers are asked to participate in are not personally meaningful to them, as they are not based on their identified professional learning and development needs and interests. So those trainings are not within their needs and interests, so that they find them boring or not interesting. Many of these TPDs are also conducted in a one-shot, one-size-fits-all model, leaving issues of contextuality, applicability, continuity, and sustainability. Formal and mandated TPDs also tend to be transmissive rather than transformational, where language teachers are encouraged to be reflective on their decisions and practices. These realities have caused less engagement of language teachers in professional development. Now, given these realities and challenges, there is a need to consider adopting an alternative approach to TPD, not alternative, but maybe additional, supplementary, yeah, that allows language teachers to find meaning and practicality in their professional learning and development while continually engaged in collaborative and reflective TPD activities. Okay? And the generative AI supported language teacher professional development can be one of these alternatives or supplementary PD activities for a more personalized, contextualized, and responsive TPD. Okay? Now, before we move on, may I know which Gen AI tools are you most familiar with? If you are on Zoom, again, you can type in your responses in the chat box. If you are viewing from a live streaming platform, kindly enter your responses in the comments section. So I want to see which platforms or which Gen AI tools are most popular here. So I can see GPT, Gemini, Perplexity, yeah. You can also type in newer ones if you have used those newer types of Gen AI. But you can see here the most popular ones are GPT and Gemini, right? Okay, so we also have DeepSeek, yeah, Perplexity. Okay, interesting responses. Okay, so keep on typing in your responses. So yeah, these are the mainstream Gen AI tools that we can use for our self-directed professional development. Okay, let's move on. Now, first, let's try to understand what Gen AI supported language teacher professional development is. It is an evolving practice in self-directed teacher professional development where a generative AI tool is used for any purpose, form, activity, or process of language teacher professional development to transform teachers' knowledge, skills, perspectives, and attitudes towards teaching. So in this model, language teachers interact or collaborate with Gen AI-supported PD assistant or tool to seek professional advice and direction to complete a particular learning and development task, practice and reflect on different teaching approaches and strategies, and work with simulators for various classroom scenarios to enhance different teaching skills and competencies. Okay? So Gen AI tools are also utilized to guide teachers in understanding unfamiliar subject matter concepts through concrete examples, explanations, illustrations, and designing and evaluating concept reinforcement activities, pedagogical tasks, customized multimodal instructional materials, assessment tasks and criteria, and conducting professional learning needs analysis. Okay, so we have here a sample in the book by Nick Peachy, published by the British Council. You can see some illustrations of how teachers can leverage Gen AI tools for their independent, self-directed professional development. So in these examples, you can see how Gen AI can be used by teachers to facilitate self-reflection on their teaching practices and to understand new and complex teaching approaches, strategies, and resources. So for example, I have here, let's say, for example, you want to use Gen AI for your teaching reflection. So how can Gen AI support or facilitate teaching reflection? Okay, so how to do it? This is based on Nick Peachy's book. So we have number one is think of an area, okay? Think of an area of your teaching you want to improve. Ask Gen AI to guide you through the reflection process using a specific framework. Instruct Gen AI to ask you a question and wait for your reply before moving on to the next question. Answer Gen AI's question as it guides you through the reflective process. And once you have completed the cycle, reflect on the experience and teaching about, think about how you have benefited from this. Yeah, let's say, for example, I have here, I tried this one. Okay, so for example, my area, the area of my teaching I want to improve on is integrating ChatGPT to teach L2 writing, for example. So the prompt I'm going to enter in ChatGPT would be, can you guide me through a reflection process using Gibbs reflection cycle? Or it can be Kolb's, cycle. Kolb's reflection cycle, or whatever framework you want. Yeah. So in this example, I say, can you guide me through a reflection process using Gibbs reflection cycle on my integration of ChatGPT in teaching L2 academic writing? Ask me a question and wait for my reply before moving on to my next question. Do you understand? Okay, so I entered that prompt and I tried that with ChatGPT and it gave me with this response. So yeah, as usual, you say, ChatGPT said, yes, I understand perfectly. We'll go step by step through Gibbs' reflective cycle, starting with description, then moving through feelings, evolution, analysis, conclusion, and finally, an action plan. So ChatGPT will guide you through the reflection process, yeah? Okay, so let's begin with the description stage. So again, in each stage, ChatGPT will ask you a question, okay? Can you describe what did you do or what you did when integrating ChatGPT into your L2 academic writing? For example, what specific activities or lessons did you use for, and who were your students? So I responded to that, and it gave me with this, follow-up with this comment and follow-up question. So it gave a comment and it asked the next question, the next level, feelings. So how did you feel about using ChatGPT in this lesson? Before, during, and after the activity. Yeah? So that's for the second stage. Of course, I answered that. And then it provided me feedback. So say, oh, that's great. That's a great reflection. It's common to feel anxious with a few tools, especially with a new tool, especially one as open-ended as ChatGPT. So it's encouraging that it turned out well and engaged the students. Now, again, it proceeded to the next question, evaluation level. Now, looking back, what do you think worked well in your integration of ChatGPT and what didn't work as well as you hoped? You might think about aspects like student engagement, writing, quality, time management, or the accuracy and usefulness of ChatGPT's feedback. So again, I responded to that, and then it, um, gave a comment on that, and then proceeded to level 4, which is analysis. Okay. Again, it asked me question, I responded, and then gave feedback. It asked me a follow-up question in the conclusion stage. Of course, I also responded. And the last stage is the action plan. Okay, so if you were to teach a similar, so I think the conclusion part is important here. So the conclusion part, so based on what you've learned, what conclusion can you draw about the value or limitation of using ChatGPT in teaching L2 academic writing? What lessons would you take away for future use? Okay, so there's a question there. And then last stage is the action plan. Yeah. So if you were to teach a similar argumentative writing lesson again, what specific changes or improvements would you make in how you and your students use ChatGPT? Okay, something like that. Yeah. And of course, you have to respond to that. And then ChatGPT will wrap up your interaction from the first level up to the last level. Okay. So in this way, this is a demonstration of how ChatGPT can facilitate a reflection on our teaching. Yeah. Okay, so another use of ChatGPT for PD is using GenAI to understand the differences between different pedagogical approaches and provide examples of these. Okay, this is very common, I think. Yeah, for example, you encountered a new approach or a new methodology in teaching and you're not familiar with it. So you can go to ChatGPT and ask about it and ask some ideas or illustrations on how to apply it in your context. So how to do it? According to PG, number one is ask GenAI what methodologies or approaches are commonly used in English language teaching. Once you have a list, choose one you're not familiar with and ask GenAI to explain and illustrate how the approach works. Read the explanation and illustration and then ask GenAI to provide you with a lesson plan using this approach. Include the aim of the lesson and the level of your learners. And lastly, read through the lesson plan and decide if it will work with your learners or not. Okay. So again, we shouldn't put all the work to GenAI or ChatGPT. So we still have to decide, we have to decide at the end whether this one works or not, or if we need, some modifications. So just to try it out, I came up with a prompt. Can you explain what translanguaging is? How can it be applied in an L2 reading lesson for high school students in Thailand? So that's just my query. Of course, ChatGPT came up with a response and explained what translanguaging is, and even came up with some suggestions or illustrations on how to integrate it in a reading lesson. And then you can also ask follow-up question like ask ChatGPT to give you a sample lesson plan integrating translanguaging. Okay, so that's it for translanguaging. Yeah, so meaning you can use ChatGPT to understand a particular methodology or approach you are not familiar. Yeah? Okay, so another example here. In these examples, you can also see how GenAI can guide teachers in conducting their own classroom-based action research projects and in designing and developing micro-learning tasks or lessons for a particular topic of interest. Okay. So for example, in this case, using Gen AI to create micro-learning journey on a specific topic. Okay, so this is the step. Think of a topic related to your teaching that you'd like to know more about. Tell Gen AI that you'd like to learn more about this topic. Ask it to break the topic down into like how many steps you want, like 100 micro-learning steps or 1,000 if you want. Guide you through each step and test that you have understood. Work through the first 5 or 10 steps and evaluate your progress. Then if you're finding it too easy or too difficult, then tell Gen AI to make some changes. Okay, for example, I am interested to learn about using Gen AI for qualitative data analysis or QDA. Okay, so I would ask GPT to create a micro-learning journey for me. So I would say, I'd like to learn more about using Gen AI for qualitative data analysis. Can you break the topic down into 100 micro-learning steps? Guide me through each step and test my understanding or mastery in each step. So you can see here, I entered a prompt on ChatGPT, and ChatGPT came up with 10 modules with 10 steps in each. All right, so a total of 100. So for module one is foundations of qualitative data analysis. It has like 10 steps. And what happens here is that in each step, there is an explanation of the concept, and there are like quick checks, right? Or quiz, okay, after each step, okay? All right, so as you can see there, different steps with explanation of the concept and quick checks, yeah? Comprehension check, right, until 10. And then once you have completed those 10 steps, ChatGPT will provide the next module with another set of 10 steps, okay? So micro-learning, it can create micro-learning journey for you on a particular topic, okay? So these are just some examples of how we can leverage Gen AI for our self-directed professional development. And you can learn more if you are going to read Nick Peach's book on using Gen AI in English language teaching. Okay, so now why do we need to adopt Gen AI supported LTPD? Okay, of course, it can offer many benefits. It can help us personalize our professional learning and development, professional development goals and activities. It can help develop a better understanding of complex concepts and theories. Seek ideas on how to apply educational concepts and theories into actual teaching, and engage in peer collaborative activities. When used properly, it can enhance our learning achievement, self-worth, and self-confidence, and can help us develop higher critical thinking and task efficiency if we use it, responsibly, okay? Now, however, due to technical limitations like hallucination or unverified sources of information, and some ethical issues like cultural bias, we must always treat all information generated by AI with a critical eye. We must verify and confirm information through readings from reliable sources, and of course, from our own personal or professional experiences. Triangulation, yeah, okay. All right, so with the affordances and impacts of generative AI, there is a growing recognition of its role in teacher professional development. However, how human language teachers effectively and efficiently use it for their self-directed TPD remains underexplored. This prompted me to conduct a study that aimed to fill this gap by exploring various ways that language teachers use Gen AI for their professional learning and development, so that a deeper understanding of how technology can support teacher professional development, addressing the persistent TPD issues that we identified earlier, such as lack of time and financial resources to attend formal face-to-face trainings, decontextualized content or irrelevant trainings, one-shot, one-size-fits-all approach, among others. Specifically, it aimed to find answers to the following questions, like how do ASEAN language teachers use Gen AI for their self-directed teacher professional development? And what issues and challenges do they encounter in using Gen AI for their self-directed TPD, and how do they overcome these challenges? This preliminary study is a part of a larger research project I'm conducting. It utilized the qualitative research design, specifically the phenomenological research method, where I interviewed 20 purposively selected English language teachers representing 10 different countries in Southeast Asia, such as Brunei, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Myanmar, the Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam. Participants were selected based on their reported use of Gen AI for their self-directed professional development. Data were gathered through a questionnaire supplemented by interviews. Qualitative data were analyzed using an inductive thematic approach. Now, for the first question, how do ASEAN language teachers use Gen AI for their self-directed teacher professional development? So it was found that participants used Gen AI to design their personalized professional development initiatives. This tool helped them identify their areas of development in their PD needs analysis, set their PD goals, and explore suitable activities to realize such goals. Through interactive conversations, Gen AI offered the participants suggestions on what areas of their teaching and assessment they needed to improve and how they could improve these in various ways. So moreover, the participants also treated Gen AI as an immediate source of new ideas in completing tasks, as a learning facilitator and a learning companion, and a source of conceptual models and learning materials. Okay? Now, in many situations, the participants also use the tool for learning new things, particularly in understanding abstract or unfamiliar concepts. Participants asked Gen AI to explain and illustrate unfamiliar, complex concepts encountered in their teaching or independent readings. They also asked the tool to provide initial information about things they were curious about or topics they were interested in investigating. The participants also used Gen AI to improve their ability to communicate their ideas following the acceptable language and conventions. As the participants engaged in formal or informal, mandated, and self-determined TPDs, they thought they needed at least to demonstrate an achievement of their learning goals through performance and relevant artifacts like reports or presentations. Yeah? To effectively do this, participants used Gen AI to enhance clarity and accuracy in expressing their ideas. Right, so for question number 2, what issues and challenges do they encounter in using Gen AI for their self-directed TPD, and how do they overcome these? So results revealed that participants struggled in designing effective prompts. Again, we go back to prompt engineering or something like that, asking the right prompt. Yeah, so they struggled in designing effective prompts to generate the desired outputs. Because again, the quality of Gen AI output depends on the quality of your prompt. Right, so they also struggled with unstable internet connectivity, yeah, especially those teaching in remote, under-resourced areas, those living in villages or remote islands. Some participants also struggled to access the premium version of popular Gen AI tools due to financial constraints. We all know that, premium versions also offer better, responses or outputs. Others also were frustrated with the lack of support and understanding of AI by their school's higher ups or management. So there's an attitudinal issue here, yeah? Okay. Now, the quality and sustainability of using Gen AI for self-directed teacher professional development are also affected by some inaccurate, unreliable, and biased information generated by the tool. It's generic or repetitive responses that are not yet not very useful and context-specific answers. The potential risk for teachers relying too much on AI, which could reduce their critical and creative thinking, and the potential privacy and personal data security breach. Yeah, so these are some common persistent issues we encounter in using Gen AI. Now, as revealed in the findings, the participants utilized Gen AI as a language teacher professional development designer or PD designer, as a knowledge authority or knowledge provider, as a learning task collaborator, and as an effective communication enhancer. So to sum up those things, yeah. So 4 roles of Gen AI for TPD. Now, however, it was also revealed that participants missed some opportunities to leverage the affordances of the tool. These include using Gen AI tools to simulate teaching learning scenarios where they could engage in, practice, and receive feedback. They could have used the tool as a conversational agent to help practice research-based instructional strategies in content-based scenarios. Like, for example, you can use ChatGPT or whatever Gen AI tool you want, to like create a scenario. For example, you are a new teacher and you want to practice how to integrate translanguaging in your teaching, but you are not yet confident, you're not yet sure how to do it. So actually, instead of doing it with a person, you can use it. You can do it with Gen AI as well as as your conversation partner, for example. Yeah. Okay. So you can practice how to do things with the help of Gen AI as well. It can create scenarios for you. Okay. So that you can, before the actual implementation of the methodology or strategy, you can anticipate potential problems, and you can anticipate also possible solutions. Okay, using ChatGPT to mimic challenging scenarios for intentional teaching practice can also lead to faster development of teacher competencies and transformation of perspectives. Second, using Gen AI as a guide in reflecting on their practices to gain knowledge from their teaching experiences. So it wasn't reflected, participant didn't reflect the practice of using Gen AI to guide them in their reflection, okay? Reflective teaching, just like what I showed you previously. Third, using Gen AI to design action research projects to improve their classroom teaching practices, or in creating learning journey where they are guided to break down concepts into just-in-time, bite-sized micro-learning lessons. So these things were not reflected in the participants' responses, okay? So these findings expose the participants' lack of comprehensive knowledge of the possibilities and opportunities the tool can offer. They also reveal possible unwillingness to explore further due to some constraints in their educational ecosystems. Okay, so there, the findings show insufficient knowledge about the affordances of Gen AI for LTPD skill sets. Limited access to the tool due to lack of required support and technological resources or the tool set, and existing personal biases toward Gen AI. Some of our colleagues are still, have this negative mindset towards Gen AI. Yeah, so it's a mindset thing. So these are the trilogy. These are the triad that we have to have for us to have a successful implementation of or successful use or productive use of Gen AI for teacher professional development. Yeah, so we have a skill set, okay, digital skills or AI literacy, tool set, required resources or tools, and mindset. I think we have to start with the right mindset first. Yeah. Okay. Nevertheless, in this study, we saw and confirmed that Gen AI can be used as a learning assistant or companion, facilitator, advisor, source of knowledge, and collaborator in self-directed TPD, although this could be expanded to reflective teaching facilitator, coach or research supervisor, and teaching scenario simulator. We also saw that the role of Gen AI in TPD is being recognized gradually. So there is a trend or shift from human trainers or lecturers or professors as sole experts, or sole source of knowledge or authority, to Gen AI as an alternative trainer or source of knowledge. So there's like gradually a gradual shift, from trainers as the sole source of knowledge to Gen AI. Yeah. Okay. Moreover, we found that there's a trajectory for human AI collaboration in teacher professional development. And for us to leverage the full potential of Gen AI for self-directed TPD, we need to develop new digital skills and AI literacies. Very important, yeah? Okay, so since Gen AI has become an integral part of teacher professional development, and will continue to be so in the future with its more complex affordances, it is important to prepare pre-service as well as in-service teachers on how to leverage the tool for meaningful and effective TPD. While we know that any learning gained through Gen AI-supported TPD is not formally recognized, credentialed, and credited to formal qualification, a culture of voluntarily engaging in Gen AI-enhanced self-directed TPDs as a supplement to the mandated training programs implemented by schools should be developed and nurtured among novice and seasoned teachers, so that the quality of teaching is sustained for better student learning outcomes and institutional performance. So we need to create this culture of self-determined or self-directed professional learning. We don't just depend on the trainings that our schools or our ministries provide us. Okay. Now, to benefit from the full potential of Gen AI for personalized self-directed TPD, there is a need to expand existing knowledge about the affordances of Gen AI tools. Currently, there is a limited scholarly literature documenting teacher practices in using Gen AI for personalized TPD. However, many online communities and organizations are sharing models or exemplary practices on leveraging the tool for various teaching and learning purposes. You can see them on Facebook or in LinkedIn. Yeah. There is also a need for teachers and school leaders to enhance their digital and AI literacy to transform their mindset or attitudes towards the use of generative AI TPD. Many academic, government, and non-government organizations are now offering free AI literacy and AI integration courses and programs for teachers and education leaders. A good example of this is British Council. British Council offers, and even TESOL, some organizations like TESOL International, professional teacher organizations offer free trainings nowadays, and you can access. I mean, you can take advantage of those. Yeah. Now, lastly, there's a need for teachers and schools to partner with various agencies and communities to secure funding and support for the needed technological infrastructure. I know it's very challenging to provide the needed infrastructure, but we can also tap private and public, organizations. We call it public-private partnership initiatives, or PPP. Okay, these should be exploited to foster more effective, productive, and responsible use of generative AI for meaningful and sustainable language teacher professional development. That's the end of my talk, and thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, Joel. Fascinating. And you can see all the hearts and rounds of applause coming in, I hope, on the screen there. And just to let you know, we have over 1,200 people joining us from China, as well as over 800 plus on Zoom and over 200 on Facebook. And it's been fascinating for me to see the comments in the chat that I've been able to see. I can only see the Zoom ones. My colleagues are sharing some from Facebook as well, and also some of the questions that are coming through. And it's interesting because there's a lot of very positive comments about the opportunities of AI, but also teachers, colleagues being a little bit critical or skeptical, let's say, rather than critical. So I hope in the next maybe 10 minutes, we've got just about 10 minutes, and then on the hour for everybody, on the hour, I'll bring the Q&A to a close, and then I'll explain to you how to get your certificates, because again, many of you are very interested in that. And it's great to see all the thanks coming through in the chat as well. I think the first question I'd like to ask, because again, there's so many different ways to look at this, talking about critical thinking, about the ethics of AI.
Mm,
Irene asked, if teachers and students use AI for everything, do you think they might lose creative skills? And again, that's a very simple question, but a very complex one because again, there
mm,
have been a number of questions about critical thinking for teachers, critical thinking for students, critical
yeah,
thinking for teachers in terms of how we develop ourselves professionally. So yeah, I
yeah.
think Irene's question is perhaps a good one to start.
Yeah, I think to address that issue, first we need to develop critical AI literacy. So in my talk, of course, when you say AI literacy, it involves also like digital skills or digital literacy. But most importantly, like um, we should be critical with whatever AI produces, right? So we shouldn't be accepting everything that AI produces. So we have to like
Mhm.
triangulate, we have to verify, whether these information are true and accurate. Yeah, so I think we have to start with AI literacy, and this AI literacy needs to be developed and taught in language classroom.
Mm. For teachers or for students or for both?
Yeah, for teachers, yeah, I mean like teacher education programs and professional development programs should integrate AI literacy. In a course I'm teaching at CMU RELC, I'm teaching technology enhanced language learning at CMU RELC in Singapore.
Mhm.
I integrate um, critical AI literacy as one of the lessons, as one of the topics in the course, because I see the importance of developing AI literacy among our teachers. Because
Mm.
if our teachers are AI literate, then I'm sure they will be able to pass down. I mean, like they will be able to develop the same kind of literacy to their students in the
Mm.
classroom.
Another question, kind of maybe it's related, was from Brian. And I thought this was an interesting question. There's people who are skeptical about AI, and I might even put myself amongst that group. But Brian asked a really interesting question. He says, what might you suggest to teachers who are really not very techy or not knowledgeable about using technology generally, but using AI specifically?
Yeah, we can, for example, in schools, we can um, establish a tech support team, for example, to teach I mean teachers who are not tech savvy. Yeah, we can
Mm.
also utilize like peer teaching, like we can pair excellent teachers, tech savvy teachers with not so tech savvy teachers in schools,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like
Yeah.
mentoring. Yeah, mentoring.
Yeah, and there's another question here again, kind of related because again, I'm trying to remember that your talk is very much about teacher professional development. Of course, we can talk about teaching, we can talk about students, but focusing on teacher professional development.
Mm,
There's no name. It's an anonymous participant, but they asked, is there a concern, but that by encouraging teachers and educators to use AI, they might become overly dependent on it and fail again to develop their own professional knowledge,
mm.
professional judgment. Again, back to that issue around critical thinking, I
Yeah.
think. And critical,
It
as you
always
said,
goes back to Yeah, it always goes back to AI literacy,
yeah.
because our goal here is not just to develop teachers who are proficient users of AI tools, but we need to develop teachers who are responsible users of AI tools. And there's a
Mm.
very good framework for this. I think I use this one, like United Nations AI
UNESCO, yeah, I was gonna,
competency for teachers and students. So I encourage
yes,
our participants to read that document because it really highlights like how we can develop or we can use how we can use AI responsibly so that we can avoid issues like deteriorating or diminishing or being critical
yeah.
creative thinkers.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the UNESCO
Yeah, the UNESCO. Yeah, yeah,
AI literacy
yeah,
framework that
yeah.
it's one aimed at teachers, one aimed at students. I think
Correct.
that's,
Yeah. So I
as you said,
encourage our
that'll be a very
participants to
useful
read that.
resource. I know certainly here in Vietnam, the Vietnamese government are working, Vietnamese Ministry of Education rather, are working very closely with
Mm,
UNESCO and UNICEF to use that as a framework for
mm,
teachers here in Vietnam. So yeah, that's definitely, I agree. That's definitely something to look up as a starting
yeah.
point because I think it also, as you say, it addresses some of the ethical issues as well
Mm,
around AI, using AI, this where AI, and again, this is another comment that's come through on a number of occasions is about, is it ethical to use, to go all the way back to basics, is it ethical to use AI when some of the AI models are actually kind of mining information from perhaps without intellectual property and blah blah
mm,
blah.
mm.
So, any comments, any thoughts on that, Joel? On
Yeah.
that kind of bigger ethical issue?
Correct. So I think that's a very inherent issue for whatever AI tool, you know. So again, it goes
Mm,
back to the user. Like, how can we
mm,
educate our teachers and students not to like upload sensitive or private information on AI? So it's like again, it goes back to AI literacy. Like, what is acceptable to share on AI and what is not acceptable. So if our
yeah.
students are aware of these things, then they will be able to, use AI responsibly.
Yeah. There's a really interesting question here. Again, I'm trying to keep things focused on the idea of teacher professional development and the
Okay.
use of AI. Back to
Mm,
the theme of your presentation, Joel. There's a really interesting question here from Liam. I think it's Liam, Leam. Apologies if
mhm.
I mispronounced your name. They ask, implementing artificial intelligence in teaching is good, but do you think excessive dependence can undermine the very qualities of effective long-term professional development? For example, how can we ensure that using AI remains needs-based and practical for teachers rather than becoming a shortcut that leads to over-reliance and, in fact, a loss of pedagogical skills, which I thought was a really nicely framed question, Joel.
Very good question. Yeah, very good question actually. So again, we need to balance as well. Like we don't need to put everything to AI. So again, it goes back to my previous concept, like human AI collaboration. Okay, so it's not us asking AI to replace what we usually do, but it's asking AI to supplement
Mm,
what we are currently doing. So the supplementary role of AI. It's not like the replacement role, but supplementary role. So again, now I think a very common topic now in education, I mean language education, is teacher AI collaboration. Okay, TAIC. I wrote an article about this one. How we can collaborate, like partnership, synergy between human and AI. Okay,
mm,
so that we can avoid that over reliance
yeah,
AI, or from
yeah.
AI.
Yeah, and that there's a very nice question as well here from Kang, Lê Thị Ngọc Kang, I assume in Vietnam, who asks again related in what way, and she asks in what ways can this Gen I activity help teachers to develop that deeper pedagogical awareness rather than simply relying on whatever AI generates, any
Mm.
AI exploration. Again, I guess it goes back to literacy, but
Yeah.
any thoughts on that?
Yeah. I think the first activity I introduced is like using AI to reflect on our pedagogical practices, the one I demonstrated, previously. So, for us to become more reflective on our practices. I think we can leverage AI, Gen AI, to help us reflect and
Mm,
think deeply about our teaching practices, pedagogical
yeah.
practices.
I'm so glad you used the word reflect.
Yeah,
You used it earlier when talking about the qualities of professional development generally as a teacher. Forget about AI,
yeah,
anything to do with AI. So it's really nice that you kind of wrap
reflect.
things up on the
Mm,
hour, talking about the power of reflection,
true.
the power of, critical thinking and
Mhm.
developing that literacy as well. Again, some lovely comments coming in to wrap things up. We can't stop people. This is from Gabrielle, who says, I agree, Joel. We can't really stop people from using AI, but we can
Mhm.
maximize it and provide support to use it ethically and positively without sacrificing the necessary 21st century skills. And then a final comment from Chloe, using AI to supplement, not replace. Great quote. So you've already your quote being quoted back at you, Joel. So I think thank you everybody for all your comments
Thank you
and all
very
your
much. Yeah, thank you,
questions.
everyone.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. It's just as always with these sessions, we say it every time. It's wonderful, not only that people are listening to you, Joel, but they're engaging with each other in the comments and in the questions.
Yeah,
That
yeah, I
that's
love
that's
reading those comments here. Yeah,
I know. I wish we had more time to,
yeah.
to to read and respond to all the comments and all the questions. But as always, time is against us. I'm going to say thanks to Joel now. I'm going to say thanks to Joel again in a few minutes. But I just want
Thank
to,
you,
for a few
everyone.
minutes, thanks very much, Joel. Fascinating topic. Obviously, a very hot topic at the moment, and some great insights there. And I love the fact that the focus was very much on teachers and our professional development. So I think that's a
Yeah,
really wonderful thing for us to reflect on. If you just bear with me a second, I'm going to share with everybody how you can now access your certificates. So hopefully my screen, yes, there it is, will come up. We've dealt with the questions. Thanks for all those. So first of all, I'm going to address our audience in China, and then I'll move on to our audience in ASEAN and around the world. So for our China audience, here's how you can access your certificate. Follow our WeChat official account, the British Council WeChat account. You can see that there. In there, you'll find the survey link in the latest post, and then you can complete the survey, and your certificate will be sent to you via email. When you receive that, please do take a moment to share your thoughts in the survey. It will really help us to shape future events. This is just day 2 in week 1 of a 3-week conference. So again, your feedback will be really invaluable to us. So for the China audience, before we say goodbye, your next session will be next. Oh, is that right? Oh, yes, sorry. It's today. It's today. Is the next session is the teaching showcase later today at 8:30. So in about half an hour's time in China. So that's your next session. And have a great evening. I hope if you're joining the teaching showcase in China, have a wonderful evening. And we'll say goodbye to everyone in China for now. And for everybody else here in ASEAN and around the globe for our international participants, here's how to access your certificate. So if you can see on the right-hand side of the screen there, you see the QR code. So click on the QR code. I tried it myself before and it worked. Complete the feedback survey via the QR code. And then after submitting that, you will see a thank you message with a link to download your certificate. So we recommend that you try to download that on some kind of desktop or laptop browser, and then you can open the PDF, and then you can edit your name and surname, and then you can save or print your personalized certificate. Again, the same thing. Your feedback is really valuable to us, so please do take a moment to complete the survey and give us some feedback. As I said before, it's really useful for us. So for ASEAN and for colleagues around the globe, our next session is tomorrow at 4 o'clock in Indonesia, Thailand and Vietnam, most of Indonesia in WIB, Thailand and Vietnam. The topic is leading change, our classroom, our community, empowering teachers in English education. And the speaker is a colleague of mine, an old colleague of mine, Sankei Konghwa from the Ministry of Education in Thailand. She's going to be talking to my colleague Ewan. So that's at 4 o'clock Thailand time tomorrow. So please check that if you're not sure of the time where you are around the globe. And that's all from us today. So wherever you are, thank you for your attendance, for your participation today. Hope you've enjoyed the session. And once again, huge thanks to Joel for taking the time to share his experience, to share his research from Senior Relk. And I really hope that we found that useful. Certainly from your comments, from your questions, that seems to have been the case. We look forward to seeing you at the next session. If you're in ASEAN, have a wonderful evening. Elsewhere in the world, have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday. Bye for now.